friends, I found unfortunately has not been a good idea. It has not worked well for me. Things to consider before starting a fashion business, part 2. Don't be too quick to add people to your team. Without any previous experience. So this is not to say you can't have someone as part of your team that doesn't have any formal training, but make sure that they're teachable, they're humble, and things of that nature. I've worked with people and they become permanent members of my team. Unfortunately, their vision for the business was very different from mine. I think at the beginning it may have appeared that our visions were the same, but then over time it was quite obvious that things were very different. So make sure that their vision is in alignment with yours. Make it really clear. I think to the point where you have to be specific. Remember, you can just hire someone to do a job. So you can hire someone to do the photography, you can hire someone to be a model, you can hire someone even to give you creative advice. You can hire someone for so many different things, but it doesn't mean they have to be part of your, a permanent member of your team. Yesterday, I worked with somebody that I know, and yeah, she did the job and she's getting paid for it, and that's that. The reason I mentioned specifically that I know the person is because another point is be careful mixing business with pleasure, a personal business. Working with friends, I found unfortunately has not been a good idea. It has not worked well for me. This wasn't actually a point I had written down, but I just thought this was one to mention because unfortunately to say no can be more difficult, and I've realised this year that I am definitely a people pleaser, and that's something I'm working on saying no. I'm not happy with this, learning to put boundaries in place, but that's a whole nother story. So be careful. It is okay just to hire somebody to do a job and keep it moving. Number 2, this is maybe quite an interesting one and a sensitive one, but family and friends won't necessarily always support you, but that's okay. I found that when I launched my business, I can basically count the amount of friends that supported my business on one hand. And what I mean on one hand is the people that may have reposted stuff to do my business, the people that may have bought from my business. Everybody was like, oh, well done, but then that wasn't followed up with a lot of support. So that's something to consider. It's not that they don't love you, it's not that they don't appreciate necessarily what you're doing, but they may not value your business as much as you, and that's something that I was sort of giving advice to my friend the other day, and I was saying, the reality is no one is as passionate about your business as you, so don't expect your friends to support you fully on this. And I learned very quickly that I couldn't count on my friends and family to be 100% of my customers. Even if all of them bought from me 100 times, that still wouldn't be enough to sustain my business anyway. So definitely consider, before going into your business, don't expect all your friends to rally around and buy from you, because unfortunately that doesn't happen most of the time. Number 3, or number 4 if you want to say it that way, be a poster child for your business. So similar to I made in the last video, value your business. So be a poster child for your business. You need to be screaming your business from the rooftops, literally screaming it from the rooftops. Have it on your personal Instagram feed. Talk about it on your personal Instagram feed. Don't just isolate it to your business page on Instagram, for example, which is what I did the first time we launched. I only talked about my business on my business page. I was too embarrassed to speak about it on my own page. Really scream it from the rooftops. When you're out and you meet new people and say, I own this business, check it out. If you're happen to be in a networking event, have your business card ready to talk about your business, because the reality is your business is one of millions of businesses. And I remember someone giving the example of people are just driving and you have to come up to them literally and say, look, I am selling this is what I'm selling, Otherwise people just don't know. Everyone's so involved in their own lives. Everyone has a million and one things to do now. The world is so busy. Attention spans are the shortest that they've ever been. So you have to go right up to them and tell them, I'm selling this. Mention your brand on all platforms. If you've got Twitter, mention it there. If you're on Clubhouse, which is a really good app at the moment, mention it there, drop it there. If you're on Facebook, drop it there. Just be really proactive and intentional about this. Don't expect somebody to just happen to stumble on your business somehow, because the reality is you're not ASOS at the moment. No one's going to be spreading it that rapidly by word of mouth. Remember, being quiet about your brand does not equate to being humble, and that is something I had to learn. Just because you don't speak about your brand doesn't mean you're being humble. You're speaking about your brand because you need to get it out there. It's being wise. So be really careful about being quiet about your brand, especially at the beginning, you know, when you're growing. Where I'm just starting, I can't afford to be quiet about it because it's not on massive billboards or anything right now. So I'm the only free advert for my business, essentially. Get to know some great stylists. Now this is such a good one, and this is one I learned through starting my business. I had a great stylist, and I would definitely advise that you follow her if you're not already following her. Her name is Ohleen, and her Instagram handle is Modest Sisters. I will link everything in the description box. She's amazing. Through her, we were able to be featured on The Guardian Nigeria, the front cover, and we were on multiple TV shows as well. And that would never have happened if it wasn't for Ohleen. She is amazing. She's been amazing in other ways as well, but that's for another day. She was instrumental in getting JANDED's clothes out there. So get to know some great stylists. Possibly consider a business phone or business email. I think most people probably have a business email. If you don't, get a business email so you don't get mixed up between personal and business. And the same way, I would suggest getting a business phone so you don't get mixed up if you are going to have a more personal touch. There's nothing like receiving a text from a business or a WhatsApp. It just feels different than receiving an email. So definitely consider getting a business phone. I had the WhatsApp on my business page actually, and I feel like we were really early in the game with getting the WhatsApp feature. The problem was it was direct to my personal phone, and I'm not even good at answering messages on the best of days. So you can imagine receiving personal and receiving business WhatsApps. Yeah, that was not for me. So I would definitely suggest getting a business phone, and also even consider a PO box. I think that's really good as well, especially if you're considering returns and you don't want people to know your own personal address. That's also something to consider too. Another point I wanted to make with a business phone as well, you can, number one, you can just keep it on during office hours and switch it off during non-office hours. And it's a really good way of making sure you have good customer service. Again, that more personal touch is really great, and customers really appreciate that, and ultimately you want good customer service. So a business phone is definitely something to consider. Network. It's so important and it's so useful, and I'm going to use my stylist as an example on this one. Networking could mean actually putting yourself out there, meeting people, because the people you meet know other people and they know other people. So my stylist, for example, I met my stylist through church. She is incredible. Like I said, we were on the cover of The Guardian Nigeria, and we were on multiple TV shows because of my stylist. I don't know if she knew the people in The Guardian Nigeria because we live in the UK, but somehow she knew people that knew people that knew people, and yeah, we were on The Guardian Nigeria. So knowing people can extend, it's like it's domino effect. So definitely put yourself out there, because if we hadn't networked, there's no way we would have been on the cover of a magazine. There's just no way, because I don't know anyone in the Guardian Nigeria. I don't know anyone even on the TV show. It was just through my stylist that happened. Allocate a time for checking emails regularly. So this is a bit of a basic point, and this may be so simple for some people, but when you get more and more busy and you may be running multiple businesses, you may have children at home, or even if you're single, everyone's generally quite busy. You can neglect things. I actually missed a job offer during the pandemic because, and I don't know how I missed it because I usually always check my email, but I think I just had so many emails that it just sort of got shoved to the bottom or mixed in. So I would say allocate a time to check your emails. And it also helps break up your day. So maybe you're saying, when I'm having lunch, I'm going to check my emails. Whatever the case may be, when your business is active and it's launched, set times to check your email so you don't miss anything important. You don't miss important collaborations, for example. Definitely allocate some time to check your email. And it also stops you from being obsessively checking your email, that you don't end up getting any work done either. The next point is use your analytics. Now this is such a major point because I never did this. Now obviously we have Instagram with the insights, we have insights into Facebook ads, we have insights in a lot of platforms now. You can see, I don't know whether you can see how many times something's been shared on Twitter. Oh yeah, you can. So you have these insights to use them. The problem is a lot of people don't use your insights. So let's say something's selling really well on your Shopify account, on your Shopify store, and something's not doing so well. So maybe you may want to scrap the one that's not doing so well and push for the one that's doing well. So maybe you do an advert on the one that's doing well, or you find that most of your sales are coming from an advert you put on Facebook. So you advertise more on Facebook, for example. So it's really important to check your analytics so that it will navigate your marketing, navigate how you do things, because there's no point putting all this out there. So marketing your business through using Facebook ads, using Twitter, all these platforms, but you just keep doing the same thing. You haven't reviewed it. It really pays to audit what's going on. So really analyze what's going on so you can scrap things that aren't working and push things that are working. The next point is so important. Be prepared for opportunities. So this is a really good one, and I'm going to use my stylist as an example again. Thank you, Ohleen. I just want to check this is still going. So if I had never put myself out there, I wouldn't have had some of the successes I had. And what I mean by put myself out there was, there were times that last minute I would get asked by Ohleen, Chichi, do you have a dress? And I would just say yes. And I would just go and look for a dress. I would just look, even if I hadn't been given enough notice, I hadn't planned on anything, it may have been rumpled or something, whatever. I would get it, make sure it was clean, ironed, ready to go. Especially at the beginning, you just need to take opportunities that come your way. You need to be prepared to put yourself out there to grab these opportunities. I remember Richard Branson saying, when somebody asks you if you can do something, just say yes and then go and learn how to do it. The problem is some of us are like, oh, they didn't give me enough notice. Oh my gosh, I can't do it. Too busy right now. Just, there is definitely power in saying yes. And obviously there are times where you have to say no for certain reasons. If it's an opportunity that is only gonna bring good to your business and, you know, there are no red flags, just say yes. There is really power in saying yes. Sometimes with regards to Ohleen, my stylist, other brands let her down. So she would be like, Chichi, you know, I was supposed to work with this brand, but they didn't have an item, or for some reason something fell through. Can you help me? And I just said yes. And I'm so glad I did now, because so many opportunities have come from that. We had a celebrity who has over 1 million followers on Instagram buy from us as well. And that was by taking an opportunity through Pop-Up Africa. When Pop-Up Africa came up, we grabbed a store and we just took it. And again, that was totally outside of my comfort zone. If you watch the first video, that was one of the points in my first video, getting outside of your comfort zone. I'm not one for one-on-one sales. Like, I'm not used to that sort of one-on-one sales, especially when it's to do with fashion. But I'm so glad I did, because she bought some pieces from us, and I was like, oh my gosh. Aphrodisia, for those that don't know her, she's amazing. She's a singer, and she bought from us, and I was just like, oh my gosh. So yes, there are so many rewards in saying yes. Have integrity. Now this is harder, easier said than done. I say this because I know I've made so many mistakes. I've made so many mistakes in this department. I've let people down at times with regards to business. It's really important to have integrity, and because you can't blame someone else. You can't blame another member of your team. You really can't blame people at the end of the day. If you own your business, you really have to take responsibility. So have integrity. The customer, you have to put yourself in their shoes, you know, having clothes sent on time, having things washed, clean, and integrity with, in my case, working with other brands. Communicate well, don't just disappear for 5 days or months. It's really important to have integrity. If you say you're going to do something, follow through. If for some reason you can't do something or you can't meet the deadline, let them know. It's really important, because I felt it when it's happened to me and I haven't liked it, and yeah, I wouldn't want that to happen to anybody else that I'm working with, or them to feel like I don't have integrity. So that's really something to pay attention to, especially your customers. When it comes to customer service, and we have things like Trustpilot. I know I look at reviews all the time, even more than the reviews. I just think for the integrity, just be able to have peace of mind as well. It's really important to have integrity in your business. Also, I wanted to mention, for Black-owned businesses, I would be in that category of Black-owned business. A lot of Black-owned businesses, unfortunately, we go in, I know there is a stigma a lot of the times with Black-owned businesses. Like, we think, oh, it's going to be poor quality for some reason, or oh, it's something's not going to come on time, or there's going to be some sort of issue. And yeah, so you want to sort of prove the naysayers wrong, basically, and go above and beyond what they would expect and be like, wow, this is amazing packaging, wow, customer service is amazing. We want to just break the whole stereotype of sometimes African companies or Black people, or, you know, can't do things at a certain quality. So I'm really working on this, definitely, really working on this one. And last but not least, you don't lose, you learn. It's a journey. We are our worst critic at the end of the day. There's times where you're just like, oh my gosh, this isn't good enough. Oh my goodness, like my web designer, if she's watching this, thank you, because she sent me a really lovely message today saying, oh, I love your reel, well done. And I was just like, you know, it took me so long to do this reel, and sometimes the reaction you get from what you put out isn't always what you expect. Sometimes it's way better than you would ever expect, and sometimes it's just way worse. So when things aren't always going your way, or when you make a mistake, just remember, you don't lose, you learn. We're all in this together at the end of the day, which is one of the reasons why I'm doing this YouTube thing, because I want to go on this business journey with other people. So many times we see the finished product, we see the final article, but we don't see how people are going through the journey of this business world that we're all talking about. You know, it's you know, we all know it's not as glamorous as it looks. For example, I had a photo shoot yesterday. I reached out to so many people. First of all, I asked people in my circle if they knew any models. Nobody knew anyone. I put it on my Instagram, I put it on my WhatsApp, no response. And then I went on some websites to get to look for some models. I contacted one who agreed and then later pulled out, and then I contacted another one who she agreed. I actually got to the shoot, location of the shoot, and was like, oh, where is she? I happened to just go on my Instagram and found a DM from her saying that she wasn't well, she couldn't make it. So I'm at the shoot, videographer is just about to arrive. My friend, bless her, Tolu, thank you so much, she was there helping me as like backup to take some behind the scenes footage, and it's just me, so I had to model because there was no one there. And it's just one of those times you're just like, oh my gosh. But I just had to, I literally wasn't even annoyed, and I totally, you know, you can't help being unwell, but I just had to brush it off and just get on with it. So yeah, that's something I've learned. And sometimes when you've done something wrong, just remember it's not a failure, it's just a lesson. Because I can imagine if I had this sort of situation happen to me with regards to the models, if this had happened to me how many years ago, I would have probably not reacted as calmly as I did yesterday. So you never lose, you learn. And that is it. I hope you found this video interesting, useful. Share, subscribe if you like it and you want to see more of these sorts of videos. Otherwise, I will see you later. Thank you so much for tuning in. Bye.